Bigfoot Club for life.
Too sweet!
Bigfoot Club for life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bigfoot Club. Robert Jesse Dominguez, Ash Tucker, Stephen Robert Dominguez. Believe in us. Believe in Bigfoot Club. Because we are too sweet.
Hey, this is Luke Gross, and you're listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast.
Hey everybody, Robert Jesse Dominguez, Season 2, Episode 30. I just wanted to do a quick reminder for everybody that's listening to us on all the platforms, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeart, Pandora, Alexa, YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating, give us a like, give us a subscription, give us a comment. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, check us out on Facebook. We're at Bigfoot Club 1 Facebook page. We're also on Twitter, so it's also a Bigfoot Club 1. So follow us on Twitter as well. We'll be posting all the podcasts, all the changes, all the updates. We'll be on those social media streams. So check us out on that. I also wanted to add, if you have any stories regarding Bigfoot or paranormal or just strange stories, if you want to share them with us, we'll talk about them on the air. Or if you want to come onto the show and talk about them, we can do that too. Please reach out to us at bigfootclub1@gmail.com, and we'll talk about these stories on the show. Also, if you are on YouTube, check out Bigfoot Crossroads and Cryptid Tales. That's run by Matt Knapp. It's pretty good stuff. I don't miss an episode. And also check out Crazy Cat Paranormal Speaks. They're on all the platforms as well with John and Cecilia Clark. This is a special edition of Bigfoot Club. I'm going to be interviewing my mom. And she had a couple stories that I was pretty interested in, and I hope you enjoy it. So, hey, I wanted to ask you about some of this. I know we talked in the past about some of the incidents that you went through, like the stuff at in Indiana, and that other stuff that you and Dad went to a casino hall to go dancing and stuff. You want to talk about that really, really quick?
Oh, this was, we were barely married, and this was in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And we went to a casino. It's called casino, but it was a dance hall.
Yeah.
Real big.
What was the name of it? What was the name of it?
Casino.
It was called Casino?
El Casino.
Okay.
And then it's a very big place, a lot of tables, a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a big window, I'm not talking about a sliding door or anything like that. I'm talking about like one of the walls was window where you could see the lake.
Yeah, I think once you told me about it, Ash and I looked online really quick. When you originally told me the story, I looked online real quick, and they had a picture of this hall, and they had a picture from the inside, and then they showed like the floor, and it showed like the really big window in the back, and it showed like you could see the lake and stuff. So I go, man, that's what you were probably looking at, and it was just, I thought it was interesting. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And then some of the some of the couples were not dancing; they were drinking,
Mm-hmm.
cocktails or whatever, beer. and they were looking out. They were sitting down close to the big window, and they saw. They said, and I've never seen it, but they said they saw this like a man, a big, huge man, sitting on one of the rocks close to them.
Yeah.
And he was they describe him as gray white or something like that.
Yeah.
With big horns.
Yeah.
Like chivo. You know what a chivo is?
A goat. A
goat. And he had red eyes. That's what they said. And they start screaming, and they start running up, like he was going to attack them. He couldn't. The window was there, you know.
Yeah. And did these people leave?
No.
They just ran away from the window?
They ran away they were afraid. Everybody was afraid. And me and Marta went up there to the window. We didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
But we kept asking questions.
Was this at night? I'm assuming this was at night.
Yeah, it must have been like 9:30.
Did they have like lights out there? Did they have a porch where people can go out there and smoke and drink?
They had lights where the they had dim lights where they saw the goat.
I see. So you and Dad stayed the whole time there? Y'all didn't leave? Y'all just continued?
No, we didn't leave, but I think they called the cops, and we had to be. We're afraid to go out.
Yeah. Was this in the summertime or wintertime or what?
Must have been like summertime.
And you and Dad were dating, or you already married?
I think we had just barely gotten married. No, we were already married, but we had just about a year or two of marriage.
Like this was like, I'm assuming this was like 60, 61 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was like in 60, 61. You and Dad had just gotten married. Who else was there with you?
Just, Gabriel, Marta, Mama.
Okay. Tío Gabriel and Tío Marta, they were there with you, and y'all stayed the whole night, and then y'all left, but you didn't see nothing after that?
No, we didn't see nothing.
Man, because I think back then they had a lot of like goat man sightings in that area.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. So I think there was a couple. I think it was it's near Lake Worth, and I think it was they had some pictures. There's some pictures of a backside of this thing. I think in the late 50s, 57, 50. I have to. I can't remember exactly. But they show like the back of this creature, and it's hairy and it was all white.
Yeah, that's what they were. Some of them were saying that it was gray white. Some were saying no, it was white.
So they called it the Lake Worth monster, and I think people thought it was a Bigfoot, but I think a lot of people just said it was a goat man. But I'll send you the picture later on today. I'll look it up and send it to you.
Do you have any videos of like I've been looking at 74 to see if there's anything about Bigfoot, and I think I've seen all of them.
Yeah,
I look in Facebook.
Yeah, there's a lot, Mom. I can send you a collection of ones that I think are real, and there's like a ton of them, and a lot of them are just fake or hoax or whatever.
I know, but I want some like small ones. Like two couples are going somewhere and they see Bigfoot, or some of them go like the one that said it changed my life.
Yeah, I don't know the backstories on some of these that I'm gonna probably look up and send you. But I don't know. I mean, that's a rare occasion to find someone that's a couple and that videotaped it and then say it changed their life. That's like 1 in a million. So, but I can send you videos that I think are real, that I've looked at several times, and I said, okay, I think this is probably real, but I can send you some stuff like that. But
on the cell phone.
yeah, I can send it to you Messenger. I'll send it to you Messenger. Do you wanna talk really quick about the incident that you had in Indiana? What was it called? That place?
Indiana Harbor, Indiana.
Indiana Harbor. You want to talk about that really, really quick?
The reason it said Indiana Harbor, Indiana, because the Indiana Harbor was the like Dallas, you know,
Yeah.
and Indiana was state.
Right.
Okay. We went up there to pick tomatoes and to pick broccoli. ¿Cómo se dice?
Broccoli.
Yeah.
What year was this? What year was this?
This was 1957.
57. Okay.
And
It was right before you got married, right?
yeah, I was I think 19 or 20, not sure.
Okay.
And me and Mary and but we we had the boys, Victor and Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Victor was 8 and Jesse was 10. And we took him, I don't know why, because mother had to work and she stayed home.
Yeah.
She had Sylvia as a baby and she had to find babysitters. Anyway, we went up there and the guy that was running the place was a Mexican guy, but through a Bolillo farmman, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us a little cabin where we could stay. They would purchase you everything, and so we went there, and we would get up every morning, make tortillas, and una little stove chiquita,
Yeah.
and enough for us to go to work. Anyway, to make the long story short, we were up there, and we went to pick tomatoes. Then from there, we went to this place in Indiana Harbor because we would travel from one city to another.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember that little city where we went to pick tomatoes from. From there, we went to Indiana Harbor. And there, it was really wilderness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was real cold. And I remember putting my gloves and boots and we started working. And I told my dad it was real cold. He said, you have to work.
What time of the day was it? Was it like early in the morning?
4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So the sun wasn't up yet, or what?
No.
Okay.
It was dark. And they had to put their trucks with the lights on
Mm-hmm.
so they could see what they were doing. And there was like 3 or 4 trucks, you know, that they park on each side around.
Yeah.
So the lights could be on. We didn't have any lamps or nothing like that. And so as we were working, there were 4 men ahead of us, and they had the cuchillos, you know, those big knives.
Yeah.
Where they cut the perejil. Well, what do you call the perejil in English?
What is it?
The perejil.
The stem. The stem.
Yeah, but it's for the people that order plates and they put just as decoration.
Oh, the parsley.
Yeah, it was parsley. And we would put them in cajones and close them up, and people, other guys would pick it up.
Yeah.
And anyway, we were there, and we had just started working. We had been there many times, like 3 or 4 times. And then all of a sudden, you know, there was a big corn field that was real high, you know, and then we were way in the back because a lot of people were already in front of us. It was a big place where we were working, and there was a lot of people in front. Not a lot, I'd say like 10. Very in front, you know, people up there in front cutting the perejil too. and all of a sudden, uh, it was so quiet that we heard a noise like a growling, ugly growl, ugly like I never had heard it before.
Yeah.
Como the cornfield was so big, so many acres, he was coming from far away, and he was growling, and you could hear the corn like he was smashing everything.
Yeah.
And then.
So was it? I'm gonna stop you real quick. Was it a growl or was it a yell? Was it yelling or was it because like growling is like kind of low and like? Was this like a yell? Was it screaming?
Something like growling, screaming, like I had never heard before.
Okay.
And but then I had never heard a bear,
Yeah.
And then the man got up and said, "Oh, es el oso, córranle." Entonces viene lejos, digo, viene lejos, pero viene.
Yeah.
And then Papa had brought a brand new car, a 57 of the year. So he got us in the car and we left, and all the people were getting in their trucks to leave. So I saw him up there because Ed had the cabins. But
yeah.
Me and there was a 16-year-old girl. I was talking to her, and I asked her, "Is it a grizzly bear or just a bear or what?" She said, "Oh, we never seen him, but every time that happens, we have to leave, and we don't want to stay there and see it."
Yeah.
She didn't speak English. She spoke nothing but Spanish.
Right. Also means bear. So I know you were saying also, so I just wanted to say that.
Oh yeah, also means bear.
So
but at that time, I spoke nothing but Spanish.
Yeah.
I spoke English too, but not very often.
Not while you were there, right?
No, not while I was there, because
so
your father, when I met him, he spoke nothing but English.
Yeah. So when you heard this growl or the scream, where was Papa? Where were the boys, and where was Tia Mary?
Tia Mary was right beside me, working with me, and I pushed her and I said, "Run!" And Papa was next to her, and he said, "Súbanse al carro."
Yeah.
And Victor and Jesse were asleep in the back of the car.
Yeah.
The seat.
So there were guys ahead of y'all that were cutting all the product that y'all were picking up, or
there were 4 of them in front of us, like I'd say about quite a way. They were way ahead of us.
Right.
Like I'd say like let me see, like from here, in front of the house,
right,
to across the street.
Right. Okay. So when you heard this growl, where was the growl coming from? Was it in front of them, behind y'all, to the side of you? Where was it coming from?
We were facing the cornfield.
Okay. So the guys were closer to the cornfield than you were?
The guys that were in front of us, no, but the guys that were 4 more were closer to them.
Okay.
Because there was 4 in front of us, and then space, and there were workers, like 4 people or 5 people working, and then there were 4 more way ahead.
Okay.
So those are the ones that start running right away.
So what did Papa say it was? Do you remember?
He said he was an oso.
Did he believe that it was a bear?
I think he believed it because we didn't know nothing about Bigfoot.
Yeah. Because
they start Molina, córrele, hay un oso.
Yeah. Because I've talked to John Bennernickel. John Bennernickel's already passed away, but he's a Bigfoot researcher, but he's also a wildlife biologist. So he studied at, or he taught at British Columbia University in Canada. And I asked him that question about vocalization with bears, and he told me that very rarely do bears do vocalizations because they don't want people to know where they're at, or they'll only do vocalizations if they're seen and they feel threatened, and then they'll stand up and do a vocalization. They'll stand up and try to seem like they're bigger than what they are, and then they'll scream at you. But if they have like cubs, and then you see the cubs before you see them, then they'll attack you to protect the cubs. But but this thing was screaming at y'all from a distance, and you obviously couldn't see him, and so you said that they were like cutting. He was like stomping through the corn. So apparently you were, or your group, or the people that were working, were in its way to get food. So because you were in the way to get food, then it was going to try to scare you out of there by screaming and stomping through the cornfield. So when you told me when you first told me the story, I forgot why you were telling me this, but I go, Mom, that's not a bear. It's Bigfoot. Bigfoots do that because bears don't do vocalizations, and especially if they're not seen. So, man, I wish you'd have known back then that you had a Bigfoot incident.
I guess because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they've been there for a long time, since in the early 1800s.
Yep. I was looking online too. I actually wrote the state of Indiana for agricultural list of agricultural stuff, like from Indiana Harbor, but they never responded to me. I asked them for what was pulled in the 50s, in the late 50s. What was the farms and where were they at, and they never responded. So I wanted to narrow it down and get an actual, because like you said that you're picking tomatoes and parsley and broccoli. So I was asking them for this list of agricultural farming that was in that area, but they never responded to me. So I gotta follow up, and because I was trying to pinpoint exactly where it's at, because I think Indiana Harbor, I think it's changed. It's not called that anymore, and it's like, I can't remember the name of the area it's called now, but it's like it's all like developed now. That area, the area that you're talking about. So
yeah, it's probably not there no more, because you know how West Dallas is now.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the stories about my great grandfather.
I think I told you those stories already.
You did, but you didn't. I didn't record it, so I'm kind of recording you right now.
Oh, I see. Which story did you want to hear?
Anyone you want to get, or anyone you want to tell me, or tell me all of them.
Well, I do remember that my mom used to tell me that her father, this is my grandfather, he used to work in the mines in Malakoff, Texas, and some other little city close by there, but I can't remember the name. But he used to go into the mines like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes going earlier and come out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, different hours. And I do remember he said one time that he went in there and there was nobody there. There was like a railroad tracks there, where they would put the coal in there, black coal. And I don't know why they used it for, but they would put it there, and then they would slide it down on the railroad tracks. And he said he saw a person like maybe far distance, and he had like a lamp, like one of those kerosene lamp, and he would go up and down, up and down. And he said, "Who are you? What are you doing there?" But he would talk to him in Spanish. And then he said he wouldn't answer him, so all of a sudden he just disappeared. He just said, "I don't know who he is, but I'm not going to investigate." Then that night he came home, and my grandmother always would make some taquitos and coffee close to where he would go to bed. And so He lay down in bed. He wasn't hungry. He just drank the coffee. So he lay down back because he was real tired. And all of a sudden, he said he felt a very heavy an arm on his waist,
Mm-hmm.
like somebody was hugging him. And then he said he touched. It was kind of heavy. He touched the arm. No, before he touched the arm, he turns and touches my grandmother. He thought it was her, and her back is turned the other way, so it couldn't have been her. And then it kind of scared him, and he touched it, and it was real hairy,
Mm-hmm.
and he couldn't even pray. He said all of a sudden he just but it took a long time, forever. He said it could have been seconds, but to him it was an eternity. And he finally lifted up, and when he did, he got up, put the kerosene light on, told my grandmother, "We're moving out. We're not staying here no more." That was one story that happened to him.
That was okay. So he came home from doing the coal mine, and he was tired. And my great grandmother had left him some food and coffee, so he was laid down. She was faced the other way.
Yeah.
And you said that there was an arm that was on him, and it was hairy.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He touched it, and it wasn't her. He turned back, and it wasn't her, right?
No, because the whole arm was hairy.
And he jumped up, and the arm was gone.
After the arm lifted up, he stayed there. I don't know for how long, because he got so scared.
Mm-hmm.
Then, because it was pitch dark, he couldn't see because he had put the kerosene out.
Yeah.
And then he was trying to put it on. He got real nervous. Like he couldn't put it on. He was scared, and finally he puts it on and wakes up my grandmother and said, "We're leaving." He didn't tell her nothing about it.
Right. So, go ahead.
And it was my mother and her older sister and my uncle Raymond that were in bed with them too, because they were little.
Yeah. Were these like cabins, or were these like tents, or what? I mean, because I'm assuming they had housing close to the mine.
No, it was housing.
It was housing.
Little housing.
Okay, so I'm assuming they were close to the mine, so the workers can have their families and go home and work, rest, and then get up and go walk to the mine. Right? It was relatively close. Do you think it was close?
I think it was very close. Yeah.
Okay. And then the first story you were talking about was he was in the mine, and there was somebody like further down in the mine that he saw.
Yeah, well, that same day, that same time that he went to the mine.
Oh, okay.
And he came back home. That's when it happened. When he saw that man up there, or whoever it was, and he came home and he was going to tell my grandmother, but my grandma was asleep. So
he saw somebody in the mine. Did it look like another? I don't recall. I think I recall you saying that it looked like another miner, or he was waving him down, or was waving him to come to him, or something.
It was another mine. It looked like another miner. You know how they wear those hats and they got lights,
right? And it was a kerosene one. Okay.
Well, they have lights on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen one like that?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of it, and I've seen stories about it and drawings.
Well, he had a lamp, and he was going like that, but he could see that he had a head like his, and that head had a light, where because it was real dark in there.
Do you recall what time period this was?
what year it was?
Yeah, or close to, or an idea where it.
I think it was.
The 1800s, right?
My mother was born 1915, so my mother was like 2, and my uncle was like 2 years older.
So it was like in the early 1900s.
Yeah, in the early 1900s, before
Wow.
before even the 12 or the 13.
Okay. So he saw this other miner, and did you say before? Because I know you told me the story multiple times. Did this other miner was waving him like to come toward him, or
Like he was telling him, I'm up here.
yeah?
Like he was telling him, I'm up here.
Okay.
And the further he would walk up there, the miner would go further,
Yeah.
backwards.
Did he
So
did he say whether this miner was speaking Spanish or English? Do you recall that?
no, he never spoke to me.
He just hand gestured him. You think?
Yeah.
Okay. That's, to me, that's really scary for you to see another see another person that's further down this cave and is waving him to come to him. Maybe he wanted him to see something that or discover something. I don't know.
And you know that other story about all right, it was like my grandfather had come out of his housing where where they gave him housing, and he had his lunch with him, and he was walking towards work
Mm-hmm.
because nobody had a car there. Everybody had to walk to the mine. See, it must have been very close by. And there was some more houses there, and he saw a woman with long hair, just dressed in white, but he saw the back of her, not, he didn't see her face, talking to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he just murmured to her. So early in the morning, gossiping,
Yeah.
and he just kept on walking. And he was walking to work, and there was a whole, it was like mesquite, like a whole bunch of it. And he noticed a woman got in front of him, and she wasn't walking, she was floating.
She was floating. Okay.
At first, he kept walking after her, but then when he noticed she was floating, he never could catch up with her. He got scared, and he said, the back of my neck just go. The hair just stood up, And he continued going to work. He didn't follow her no more. And he was afraid to look back because he was afraid that she might be following him. But he got to work. He didn't talk to nobody.
Uh-huh.
There were other people there working, but he didn't say nothing to nobody because he was afraid that nobody was going to believe him or make fun of him.
So he was walking to work. He saw this lady. He told her in Spanish, "Are you gossiping? It's late. Something like, it's late, so you're gossiping right now." And she never responded to him. So she never looked back. He never saw her face, right? Do you think?
No, he never saw her face.
And so she was walking on the road, and then did she veer off into the woods?
Well, he said, when he said that, he kept on walking, and he didn't expect her to walk in front of him because he thought he left her up there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, she's in front of him.
Oh, I see.
And she's walking fast, and he said, so he started following her, and then all of a sudden, she wasn't walking; she was floating.
Right.
And it scared him a lot. And after that, he got to work, and he really couldn't work because he's afraid to tell anybody because he knew that he's afraid that they weren't going to believe him.
Mm-hmm.
or make fun of him, But he went through a lot of experiences real bad. He said that place was like a cemetery, and a lot of things happened there. A
Wow.
lot of people, a lot of that place was like a. He said at one time that it was like a cemetery.
Right.
He told my grandmother.
I was going to ask you, like he told these stories to Mama, and Mama told you, or he told you?
No, he never told me the stories.
Oh, okay.
He told my grandmother, and I think he told my mother too.
Okay. I mean, because it almost sounds like to me, Mom, that like he was. I mean, whenever I say this, I don't mean it in like in a good way or whatever. But it sounded like he was kind of gifted, where he could see these things that no one else could see, and then like because a lot of times, most people who see paranormal stuff, they're kind of chosen to see it, and they see these things, and it just like it's like they're attracted to these things are attracted to them, and kind of like if they're like a radio station and he's like the big antenna, and they're just attracted to him for some reason.
Well, he saw a lot of things, and I don't remember all the stories, but I remember those. They stuck in my mind,
Yeah.
because see, we were not allowed to hear none of this, and sometimes my mother would be telling my father, and me and my cousin Joyce, we were like 6 or 7 or maybe younger, and we'd go under the table. Because in those times they had those tablecloths, real right to the bottom,
Yeah.
where you could hide under there
Yeah.
and hear their conversation. And most of the time, I would hear those conversations. And then as I grew up older, I would ask my mother, I heard this conversation, and my mother said, "Oh, when did I tell you about it?" I said, "No, but I heard it," and she would tell it to me again. And it was scary, very scary. Um, there was another time that, um, now this happened to my mom and dad. Um, I don't know if you want to hear it.
Yes. Go ahead.
Um, my mom and dad, they rented this 2-story house, and so that, I don't know how much they were paying, but it was in the wilderness, and my dad and my mom lived upstairs, and the other couple lived downstairs. The couple were helping my mom and dad pay for the house, and so my mom and my dad were laying down in bed, and it was in those days, Robert, that the houses were real high.
Mm-hmm.
The two stories houses. There was no stairs. There was no ladders. No nothing. And so my mom was reading a magazine, and my dad was reading the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
It was still early. It was about it must have been about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And my mom saw something in the window, and she told Dad, "What's that?" They were very young because they had just gotten married, and he said, "What?" And then he saw it too. There was a woman looking through the window, way up there where they were, and she had her hair back and like rolled up to the very top, like they used to wear a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so he ran to the window. Well, by the time he ran, he ran to the window. She was already running away, and my mom says she was a very skinny, tall woman, like 9 or she's I don't know, she was overdoing it, or she said it was like she never seen a tall woman before, like maybe 10 feet tall. She said.
So they were up on the second floor, you said, or the first floor?
Second.
And this woman came to the window, and I'm assuming she was floating.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And so whenever Papa went to the window, she went down to the ground level and started running away.
Yeah, and the couple downstairs had seen her too.
Oh, okay.
And they were the women were screaming, and the men were trying to run after her and to catch her, but Mom said don't, because we don't know what it is, and she never came back again. But they saw the ugly woman. I don't know what it was. And
that's odd. I mean, to see something, was that in Dallas or was that somewhere in Texas?
it was in Texas.
Okay.
In those times, there was a lot of a wilderness. There wasn't. Like it is. There's a lot of houses now. There was nothing but people just living in the wilderness.
So this was in the house in the woods.
Yeah.
Do you know where in Dallas where this was, or Texas?
I think it was in Malakoff, close to Malakoff.
Okay. Did Papa work at Malakoff Mines too?
Papa worked at the mines too. Yeah.
So our great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my grandfather worked at Malakoff. Did he? I'm curious to hear whether he had the same kind of experiences as my great-grandfather.
No, my father never had that kind of experience.
I was reading online here that the Malakoff mines were discovered in 1912, and it was built in, which I guess Malakoff is in Henderson County, and it was built by Texas Power and Light for the mining, and they built a facility really close to there for 600 miners, and during that time, and then they closed the mines in 1945. And then it says here that the miners have a reunion every 5 years since 1945. So I don't know if that miners reunion is still going, but that's what they say on I think it's the Malakoff. It's like a Texas Escapes. It's like a website dedicated to, I guess, counties in Texas. But that's interesting. I didn't because I do remember as a kid, Mom, when I was really little. I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, maybe right after I got out of the hospital or something. But I recall us going to a Malakoff reunion in Malakoff, and
we did go. We did go like twice. They had like celebration.
Yeah, it was like picnics, and it was like under like a big awning, and it was like because I remember it was like a big spectacle, and it was like a creek by there, and I remember running off a lot and just running around, and there was like a lot of stuff going. They had like I think it was like games and stuff and all kinds of stuff. But I was like, I was really little.
I don't remember that because I guess you must have wandered around looking around.
Yeah, I mean, because
they had like a band there, like people were dancing, and most of the time I spent it there,
Yeah, they had like hot dogs and hamburgers and brisket and all kinds of stuff, rice and beans, and it was like a big celebration. And I recall, but I don't recall whether Papa had said he had worked there to me but I think that's kind of odd that our great grandfather was working there and so was Papa. So, wow.
You know that my father was president of the I have to say it in Spanish.
Go for it.
Sociedad Mutualista Mexicana. He was well known in Dallas, Texas. He
Yeah.
was known all over Mexico, and he was known because he was president of that organization.
Was that organization? Was it like a charity for
Yeah,
Spanish people or what?
yeah, it was an organization for people that they would make tamales. They would do a lot of stuff,
Right.
and for people that needed help.
With their house or their living situation or stuff like that,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah,
or if they needed like a roof or they needed like repairs in their house or something, right?
yeah.
He over.
Exactly. And you know that when me and your dad, I had the kids. You weren't. Let me see. You were probably born already, but you were a baby. And I took the kids. Your father had fallen down from a, what do you call it? The skiffle. He was building bricks, putting bricks somewhere.
Uh huh.
Um, anyway, he left the ice cream and he went to work with Carlos, this guy, and he was a bricklayer. So your father fell from that ladder up there and broke his arm, and he couldn't work. And so we didn't have no money for lunch for all my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You were a baby, so you were at home. And we went to the principal. The principal said that he had given everything to all the other kids, that there was no room for more kids, for lunch for more kids. And I said, what are we going to do? And so I called my father and I told him the situation. And my father came right away. He said, don't worry about it. I took care of it. He said, I know somebody in the organization is going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, people, not only people, simple people like lawyers, people like, would get involved with my father.
Yeah.
My father spoke perfect Spanish, and my father was very intelligent. And
He was a poet, and he played the violin, and he did all kinds of stuff.
yeah, that's how he met my mom, and playing the violin in a dance hall. Yeah, and then my dad he said, "Don't worry, taking care of it. Trini, my friend, is gonna take care of it."
Yeah.
And then the following day, all my kids got tickets to eat. Richard, Steve, Mary, Sandra.
At school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I had it too. So.
Oh, you had it too?
Yeah.
And but there was a great help. I mean, a real relief for us. And my dad, my dad was the type of person that you would tell him, Papa, can I borrow $5 to buy? ¿Qué quieres comprar? I want to buy some eggs for the kids and this or that. And he said, okay, I got to go home and get the $5. So he would go home, come back, bring 3 big grocery bags, big
Yeah.
eggs, bacon, everything, apples, oranges. And then he would give me the $5. He said, here's the $5. I said, then I'll pay you as soon as I can. He said, no, it's okay. You don't have to pay me back.
You know what I recall about him so much, Mom, was growing up, that he was always dressed nice, even on Sundays. I mean, even on the weekends and like weekdays, he was always like wearing slacks, shoes, a nice dress shirt, and like he was like every now and then he would have a tie on, or most times he wouldn't, and he was always dressed nice, and his hair was always like straight and combed.
Yeah.
So
he had to be dressed like that because every day they would call him from the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And since he was president, he had to be there almost every day.
He was always really good to me, and he's always fair and polite, and he was always good to me. That's what I have memories of him. Is just always being nice to me all the time.
He was good to all the kids.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that when Sylvia and I were there with him when he passed away, he we took him to a church one time, me and Sylvia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the Templo Alabanza, and he took the microphone away from the pastor because he went out there and he said it was Father's Day, and he said, I'm 89 years old. I lost my father when I was 7, and to this day he started crying.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I was raised without a father, and but in front of everybody, I want to tell everybody that I give my life again to Jesus Christ.
Mm.
And there was like 1,800 people there that day. And then when he was almost dying, he got my hand and he got Sylvia's hand. He said, "Can you hear that? Can you hear that?" And I said, "What, Dad? What can you hear?" The trumpets. The trumpets. The angels. They're blowing the trumpets.
Yeah.
The Sabbath is finished. And then and he said, "Oh my God." And we said, "What, Dad?" And he said, "They're writing my name in the book of life." So I know where my father went.
That's good.
And I don't know if I had ever told you that, but
I think you
my
have.
father was
I think
my
you
father was such a good man. You know that one time when I was staying with him, it must have been like 2 o'clock in the morning. They called him on the phone, and he was putting his shoes on and everything. And my mom said, "You have to go." He said, "Yes, I have to go." And he left, and I told him, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, some friend of his, a young friend of his that works with him on construction. His wife is going to have a baby, and his car won't start, and he needs help." So my dad went to take him to the hospital. A wife that was going to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, he would do things like that for people.
Yeah. I'm not surprised because I mean, I don't know. He seemed like he was always doing stuff all the time for people all the time. Even when I was a kid, and he would like, because I know one time I think they were building they were putting a roof on someone's house, and I remember hearing this story that they were fixing someone's roof, and he'd always wear slacks and shoes, even like as old as he was, and he would like get on the ladder and go up the ladder to go see them working on the roof, and some of the roof guys were telling him to get off the roof with those shoes, and he said, "You don't tell me what to do." And so he would walk on the roof to go inspect the work that they're doing for these people. And I remember hearing this. I can't remember who was telling the story. I think it was like Theo Victor or Theo Jesse or something. They were telling that story. And I remember hearing that about him. So that always stuck on me that, they were working on someone's roof because, that's what his group did. They helped out people, and he was just one of those people that, you couldn't tell him what to do because he was going to do whatever he wanted because he was looking out for people. So.
Yeah, if people would tell him about the freeways, he said, "I work all these freeways, so I know everything about the freeways."
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody would tell him, "Can you take me somewhere? The address, just give me the address. You don't need to tell me where to go. I know where to go."
Yeah.
And he was a very smart man, and he just went up. He went up to the 3rd grade, but he was very intelligent, very, I mean, he was such a smart man.
Yep, he was.
So, I mean, my dad was always, I mean, there's not one grandchild that didn't love Papa.
Yeah.
Ricky loved Papa. Ricky quería mucho a Papa.
Yeah.
And when we went to Mexico, Ricky went with us. Ricky was 18. And Papa would take him to go eat cabrito, goat.
Yeah.
And Ricky says that it was the best goat that he ever ate when he went with Papa.
Yeah.
And so
I wanted to ask you about this one story, and this was, I mean, you can talk about it or you don't want to talk about it. That's fine. But I wanted to ask you about this one story. Do you remember there was the time when we would go to Mexico to go see the doctor, and it was me. I mean, I was little. I was probably like, I don't know, like 6 or 7, and we used to travel to Mexico to Reynosa, and it was I recall that we were driving in Javier's car, and it was me, Javier and Sylvia, Dad, and it was Mama and you, and we were driving. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
And then we were driving to Malakoff, not Malakoff, but Reynosa, and it was real late at night. It was a stretch of road that was really dark. Didn't have any lights. It was like almost like a desert. And I remember I was sleeping in the back of the station wagon, and I was half awake. And I recall that Javier was driving, and I think Dad was in the passenger seat. You and Sylvia and Mama were in the back seat, and because I think I was sleeping with Carol and George, and they were driving down this road, and there was some old ladies on the side of the road, out of nowhere, hitchhiking. Do you recall this story?
Yeah, I recall the story, but there were no ladies.
There were no ladies. Can you tell the story?
Yeah, we weren't going to Reynosa. We were coming from Reynosa.
Oh, we were coming from Reynosa. Okay.
Okay, we were coming, and it was like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom went taking Mom to see a doctor up there, and then we were coming back, and as Javier was driving the car, and so there was a lot of, it was very dark. Only our car was the only one.
Right.
Station wagon. And there was a lot of, like just grass on the sides. Not a lot of wooded area, but, sort of.
Right.
And as we were coming, everybody was asleep. Sylvia was asleep. But I was awake.
Yeah, I think I overheard, and I'll let you tell the story, but I think I overheard Mama yelling, and I woke up, and I caught the tail end of it, and I kind of pretended like I was asleep, but really I was awake. But go ahead with the story.
Well, like you said, there were 3 ladies, but this is what I saw. Javier said, he was telling my mother, I need to use the bathroom. And I need to go here. I'm going to park right here on one side and go to the bathroom. Those little woods right there, he said. Mm-hmm. And Mama said, no, Javier, wait till we get to a filling station. Because you don't know. He said, oh, no, I need to go. And he stopped. He was about to stop the car. When he stopped the car, 3 figures came out of the wooded area. And they were dressed like, one had a black something, like a black thing on the head, and the other, they looked like women, but they had a lot of paint on their faces, and a lot of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them were dressed in white, and I started screaming. Mama started screaming, And Mama said, no, Javier, don't stop. Don't stop. And so he didn't stop. And then he said, I don't even feel like going to the bathroom no more. But I don't know what they were. I don't know who they were.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we had stopped, they would have killed us.
Right. Do you think there were people, or there were something else, like a spirit or something?
I feel like there were some kind of ghosts.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And I kept telling Mama, Mama said, there were 3 women. I said, they could have been men, Mom. And she said, I said, son, I told her in Spanish, son, fantasmas. Fantasma means
ghost.
Ghost.
Right.
And so we told that story when we got home. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were with us. I didn't remember that. But where could I have left you? I said, I didn't remember that you were with us. But where could I have left you? I never left you anywhere.
Are you talking about whenever we were coming from
Reynosa?
Yeah, I was with you. I was in the back. I was in the back of that station wagon sleeping. It was me, Carol. It was me, Carol, and George. George was really little.
And you were how old?
I was probably like 5 or 6.
And did you see anything?
No, I only heard y'all yelling. That's all I heard. And by the time I looked up, we were down the road already. And then I pretended like I was asleep, and I think either you or my mom was put your hand back there to see if we were still back there, and you were touching Carol and George and me, but I do recall that. But I didn't see anything, so that was just me. But
yeah, me and Mom and Javier, we saw that, and I don't remember if it was Papa or your dad. They were asleep, I think.
Yeah.
But oh my God, if we had stopped, I don't know what would have happened.
That was pretty scary. I mean, from what stories on the side of the road and stuff like that. Yeah.
But there's a story that Steve can tell you. But he can tell you better than me because I wasn't there and he was.
Yeah.
Has he ever told you that story?
Yeah, I think he has. It was the one when they went over, I think, over to White Rock. They went over to White Rock, and there was they were fishing on some guy's land or some. The guy had a house on the lake, and he granted, I think, to Joe or somebody access to go fish there, and they did, and they ran into some lady, and when some lady was walking up to them and trying to talk to them, and then whenever they turned around and turned back around, she was gone.
Yeah, that was scary.
That's interesting. Okay, I wanted to.
Oh yes, one more question before you go.
Okay.
Did the recording go good or not?
Which recording?
That you recording me right now?
Yeah, I'm still recording you right now.
What?
Yeah, I hadn't stopped.
Thanks for calling me.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I love you too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. That was my mom.
Bigfoot Club 4
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bigfoot Club. Robert Jesse Dominguez, Ash Tucker, Stephen Robert Dominguez, Earl the Pearl Kennedy. Believe in us, believe in Bigfoot Club, because we are too sweet.